War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. Whether you're watching live, the replay, whether you got here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, appreciate you just spending some time with us to talk about this particular topic tonight, a post-game reaction live stream for Auburn men's basketball beating the Colgate. What I can't even remember the Red. I think they're the Colgate Big Red or something like that by the score of 93-66. A lot of people put the Tigers on upset watch tonight because of the supposed shooting prowess of Colgate. And unfortunately for Colgate, Auburn had the shooting prowess tonight. We'll be talking about all of that stuff, the ins and outs, our reactions to the game, but most importantly, your reactions, your thoughts, your comments, your questions about this game. Please do engage with the live stream tonight. And if you're watching on the replay, you can obviously drop comments after the fact as well. What we always want to do to get started with our live streams when we're together is use it as our check-in period. Right now, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. I know it seems silly. Those of you that have done it 1,000 times for us, do it again. It is a great way to let me know who's here early, but also it's a great way to signal to everybody out there in the YouTube social media sphere, we're live. Come be part of the show. And also smash that like button if you can do that right now. So everybody in unison, smash it, retweet, share, all of the good stuff there. Do that right now for us if you can. That would be a humongous help as we get our stream started tonight. Now, I will say that it's going to be a little distracted on my part too, because we are in the middle of a volleyball crucial set, the final set. So I'm going to give somebody who has two jobs during our live streams for post-game basketball stuff. Devin, you are in charge of keeping, because I see you're here already, charge of the meme counts and the score counts on volleyball. So there you go. I really do need you to keep me updated on how that's going, because history in the making there for volleyball if they can get past it. I hate that they were at the exact same time tonight. And part of it is I just love it. All right, let's say hello to some people and let's get talking about some basketball. Got a lot of notes that I want to go through tonight, and obviously we'll walk through the stats together as we go throughout the stream. We got Devin, as I said, Matt and Morgan, Dusty, Debbie, JB, Red Fox. I think a lot of, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of you are new. We had a lot of people join up on the channel the past couple of days, and that's great. A lot of new faces. If you're new, let me know. I'd love to give you like an extra shout out in there. Anybody who's hanging out with us maybe for the first time or maybe the first few streams, love to know that. Those are the things that we value. Also, well, we'll get to that later in the stream. I'll ask you guys once we got in some of the basketball things. I always like to do like housekeeping type of stuff when I have y'all's opinion. But let's talk about it. 93-66, your Tigers defeat the Colgate Red. Did we determine if they're the Big Red? Something like that? Somebody give me information on that. I should know that already. By the score of 93-66, almost a 30-point differential. Now, they did reach 30 points at one point, but was not able to maintain that tonight. So first big note maybe to mention tonight was the fact that Jalen Williams, who I mistaked early, was not playing. I mistaked him not being out there. He, I think, has got an illness. I heard someone say it may be the big C COVID thing. But in his place tonight, Alan Flanagan started, and I thought had a pretty good game in his starting spot. That was a great game. Yes, Red Fox, it was an outstanding game. I mean, should we ask the question? Anybody want to like give an opinion on, was this the best game of the season thus far? Now, maybe not in terms of like excitement factor, but in terms of like, you know, completeness, being able to match your opponent in some areas where they have strengths and maybe you have weaknesses. Our weakness would be shooting so far this season. Theirs was shooting in terms of their strengths. And we kind of evened that out by the way we were able to shoot really well tonight and kind of kept them at bay enough. It's the first half. Let me just start off by saying this. And we have this discussion a lot about non-conference opponents and whether they should be, considered good or not. And I will continue to preach to the heavens how genius Bruce Pearl is at scheduling usually the right opponents at the right time. And when he does that, he's usually bringing some of these smaller schools in that are, expected either recently, like in the last season, or expected to this season be competing for their championship, first, second, third place, something like that. So I think this is probably one of those teams that will have an opportunity to do that. I don't know where they're going to stack up in the Patriot League, which is where I think they play. But the fact that Auburn was again able to kind of show that, we're not going to have one of these mess ups. One of the only, I think there's 15 undefeated teams left in the land, unless somebody else lost tonight. We are still one of those things. Wasn't it great tonight if you were at home on the telly, we'll use it, our British friends, I'll call it the telly, able to listen to Sonny and, and Andy Burcham. It was just amazing. And Sonny is a gem. He loves, the ribbing of the refs. And I love that. I tweeted out for him, please don't ever change, Sonny. I love that he loves to do that. It just fills me with joy. But yeah, on the way up to the top 10 soon. Top 10 of what? But I want to be in the top 10 of something. And I won't bring them up a lot, but thank you for keeping those score updates for us, Devin, on the volleyball. We'll discuss the ending of it. Once I'm sure we'll get to that point. Matt Morgan say Al is back for sure. Was that ever in question at this point? Now, listen, Alan Flanagan may not be back in terms of how much he scores when we first got to know him, when he first got here, but what he is doing out there on the floor is contributing in multiple ways, not just in like minor, like he'll get a point here, a block here. Like he's doing everything. He's one of those guys that I think, unfortunately, had he been in a situation like he was when he first got here, where he was the star or one of these stars, became that, he's stuck on a team with a bunch of stars. And so it kind of, because of trying to find time for everybody, all of those dynamics, he's probably not going to shine as bright as he would have 3 seasons ago. But I still love watching him play. Debbie said this, said that Sonny said this was an impressive win. I think Sonny's going to say that no matter what, but it's an impressive win from the standpoint that there's, especially, this was one of my topics that I had written down, so we can go ahead and cover that part of it. Rankings don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but they matter to some degree in terms of like, perceptions and recruiting and all that kind of stuff, especially right now. We dropped a little bit this week, and that's because we've shown a not just 1 or 2 game stint where we weren't shooting well, but that was kind of sustained and caused us some struggles and have to get into closer matchups. This game was a statement, especially at home, saying, no, look what we can do. Look what we're capable of. Now, if Auburn can do that consistently, they're going to stop seeing those drops even when they stay undefeated in the rankings, and they'll move up further. So it's an impressive win, maybe not so much in what you did to your opponent, but what you looked like out there on the floor. This is how a team of Auburn's caliber should look when they're at home. Should put them away when you have the opportunity to. Auburn so when they came out of that half, Colgate got into a little bit of a run, almost cut it to single digits, and it was like a light switch flip, and it was over. It was like the air was let out of the Colgate bubble and never put back in. So great job on their parts. Devin giving us updates on the meme counts. 104 replies in 2 minutes. We always start hot and then die off. Yes. I mean, everybody's ready to do it right there at the start. Everybody wants to get theirs out first, but yeah. Our commercials for this broadcast were just, the stands, which was kind of fun. It made you feel like you were there in the stands. I wish they could do that more often, but they've got to make money. Russell, don't get me started. That's way too started. That's going to be my harping point tonight, and it's coming. Just I will get there. Colgate's defense was weak, and they couldn't get the 3-point game going like they wanted to give them a chance. It didn't help them that we shot good from 3-point line ourselves. Yeah, I didn't think that they were known for their defense. They feel like the early Bruce Pearl eras where they're just going to get out in front of you by shooting and just hang on for dear life. They seem like they're at that point, but when you're deadly and on, like Colgate has shown their ability to be, I think it was 19 3-pointers they made or something like that in one of their last games. If you don't respond to a team like this on the road or at home, it can be very, very dangerous. Free throw defense is best in the nation. Yeah, I heard that stat being shared on there. Let's see. I hope they stay like this after the finals break. We don't have another game until next week, unless that is correct. And I looked at that earlier when I was kind of planning out my week, and I was like, gosh, this is the last live stream we're going to have for basketball in quite some time. Now we're going to be having plenty of other sports stuff with football, positions being filled and all that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that here, but that will be coming up. And so, yeah, we'll assess that when all that kind of stuff happens. Devin, I'm not even going to look at the score updates now. Y'all can pay attention to the volleyball score updates, but now I feel like I'm going to jinx us. All right. So if there's big storylines or things that you want to hit from the game tonight, I'm going to start running through my list of things that I wanted to talk about. And obviously we'll get to the stats and stuff like that. And we'll cover some of that as it kind of fits in our discussion here. I started off the show by saying this is an upset alert. Maybe that was a bit strong of a statement, but you're hearing a lot of the national pundits and ones that I would respect too, saying, Auburn's got to watch out for this 3-point shooting. And we've already mentioned that a couple of times. And that's the truth right there. But this is yet another time that one of these smaller teams has come in with some attention to them that they might catch Auburn off guard. And that is yet to happen yet. So I'm really encouraged by that. It feels like maybe sometime Auburn teams of the past would get one of these games like this taken away from them, whether because they got into a shooting slump or did some other stupid things, or the team was just super hot. Thankfully, none of those happened tonight. I wrote a note for myself to look at the score going into the half. So this is kind of part of my discussion of Colgate should be respected. I consider in most cases, it's not like a perfect science. When you hit 30 points in a half, that's pretty good. That's probably where you should be at. Colgate got to 33 points at the first half. We were at 47. Really good game overall, but really good half as well. So if Auburn doesn't respond the way they do, shooting wise, you can see that Colgate was able to keep up the pace by their 3-point shooting as well. Because, here, I'll just go ahead and talk about it right now. 44% on the night for Colgate, 45% for Auburn. So both teams shot very well from outside the arc there. 8 of 18 for Colgate and 10 of 22 for Auburn. Auburn obviously did a lot more than make 3-pointers because that pretty much is exactly the same. Just a little bit better for Auburn. WT, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. We looked really good defensively in the first half and got sloppy down the stretch in the second half. Isn't that the story of Auburn sports? I think it's everybody has a tendency, especially when you're at home, to kind of maybe relax a little bit, especially if you go in with the momentum and kind of the emotional ending that they had to that half. It can kind of be like a little bit of a drop down, a letdown, and then you kind of bring yourself back up into it. But that short little run they had was short-lived, and Auburn was able to respond much better. We need to keep up with our shooting skills. That's the understatement of the year. Yes, we do. But I wouldn't, expect this. I wouldn't expect this to be a one-off, but I also wouldn't expect this to happen every time. This is a team that has been proven to be very streaky shooting wise and will probably be that way for a lot of the year. Hopefully they can find a footing to work with. Jalen Williams was out tonight, like I talked about. So what this presents an opportunity is not just a different starting lineup, albeit by one position. So Alan Flanagan in his place, but it gives the dynamic of how you switch people around with who you're playing with who, more opportunities. So for instance, tonight, I found this very interesting. Lior Berman getting some time tonight. I'm really trying to read Coach Bruce Pearl on this. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. I'm not questioning him in any way. Did you play Lior because you thought you were going to put this team away pretty early, or are you playing Lior because he's earned it? I'm kind of inclined to think that he's earned it, or maybe he was still kind of getting back. I know he had some injuries in the off season that he was kind of working through. Lior had a pretty good game. Let me find him on here because I haven't had to find his name in quite some time. 11 minutes, 3 points for him. That's really about it. And just the one 3-pointer, but got out there and does what he should do, is contribute a little bit statistically and not be a detriment. And he seems to be a solid piece that he's willing to play a little bit more. You've got guys like, I'm trying to find them on here. Like Trey Donaldson only got 3 tonight. Still intrigued by that. I'm rooting for my boy Trey. I know Trey watches the show, so I want him always to know that I'm thinking about him. Hey, okay. Quick aside, everybody, even if you're watching the replay, we just made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament for volleyball, folks. Confirmed right now. Thank you guys for double win. Yes, this is amazing. I know y'all all focused in on that. Pretty awesome. Volleyball gets the win. One day in the future, everybody will be super into volleyball. Oh, I got out of focus there for a minute. And we will actually be doing live streams of that too. Probably not, but we'll see. 2 wins in one day. Yeah, it was a good day for Auburn's people. Real quick, while I reset back to talking about basketball, my lighting's a little different. My angle's a little different tonight. Thoughts? Like it, negative? I know, again, I'm not shooting on 1080p because of the setup I use here, which is the full resolution. I know that it looks a little bit like not on the clearer side, on the blurry side, but if you guys don't like the lighting, too light, too dark, all that kind of stuff, let me know. We've got some new equipment we're trying out. Leighton, this game has been fun. Nice change of pace from the defense, slower pace games, and to watch us actually making threes. Yeah. So we had 2 games in a row where the scoring was really, really low, and it became very nerve-wracking. You're kind of waiting for one of the other dams to break, so to speak, and thankfully Auburn's didn't. It came very close though. It's really fun at home when you can take advantage of that environment and feel the excitement of knocking down those threes. The players knock down one, then it's going to kind of drive them to knock down that next one, and then that next one falls, and then before you know it, you've got a nice little shooting streak going. But kind of finishing up what we were talking about, happy to see Lior out there getting an opportunity to compete. Is this the best shooting game? And we talked about it, remedying some of the pollsters' reservations about Auburn right now. The KD injury. Anybody got any thoughts on that at the end of the game or the end of the half? I watched the replay a couple times and I couldn't tell if it was like the impact when he went up or it was the impact when he fell down, but it kind of got scary there for a minute. KD Johnson is one of those guys that he's a little psycho and he will get up, bounce back from basically anything. And when he laid down there for a little bit, I was really concerned, not just, for him this game, but just, in terms of concussion protocols and things like that. And he was on such a hot streak too. It would have been such a bad thing to lose him at that point because he was literally tearing up Colgate by himself at points tonight, knocking down threes, shots down low, just doing things that KD Johnson needs to do. I hope so, Leighton. I really, really do. It's going to be a tough one here in Atlanta. I'm hoping to be there. If anybody else is going to be there, let me know. I'd love to like say hello if I end up going. I should be there. I would think I would be. Was this game a result of basketball improving, or is Colgate just a cream puff team? You got here a little late, I think, WT. We talked about this. This is no cream puff, but I would say it is a case of Auburn's shooting catching fire tonight and kind of exposing maybe where the weaknesses are for Colgate, that their strength is out shooting you and staying out in front of you or really close to you and then hoping that you make the mistake. Auburn did not do that tonight. So I don't think we should disrespect Colgate in any way. I just think that this is, one of those things like Auburn had it together shooting tonight, and in most other areas, I'll talk about one in a second, controlled a lot of the other like stat lines and things like that you pay attention to. Let's see here. Yeah, Memphis. We're going to talk about a lot about them next week. It'll be interesting. Well, yeah, next week, I guess. Almost a week from now. It'll be interesting because if I go to that, we'll be doing a on the road live stream from the mobile broadcast studio, aka my car again. Probably from a parking garage in downtown Atlanta. Either that, or if I ride the MARTA in, it'll be much later after that. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. You were hoping that Coach Freeze was going to be the mystery in tonight. Well, he's in Dallas or wherever they're playing the Big 12 championship, getting ready to be on College game day. So he couldn't be it tonight. I think it's probably in his best interest just to lay low right now in terms of public appearances and just do your job. And that's what he's doing. More on that later. Colgate is a great basketball school. Lots of history there in the NCAA tournament every year. I think they were last year and the year before that. Yeah, they come from the Patriot League. And that's one of those schools that usually gets only about one, maybe two in, I believe, like Colgate. I think George Mason's in there as well. And are they? They're not in the Ivy League, are they? I thought they were in the Patriot League. If anybody wants to fact check me on that, feel free. But yeah, they're a team with a lot of history that you should have respect for. Much like we used to. Can we switch back to Colgate toothpaste now that we beat them? I saw a lot of people running with that on social media this week. That was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. And here's an update, quick volleyball update. Tomorrow, 6:30, folks. Pay attention. Volleyball is going to be hanging out. We're projected at a 5th seed in basketball right now. Well, it's much too early for that stuff, but it is nice to know kind of where we sit at. I'm kind of comfortable with that, to be honest with you. All right, I'm gonna keep working down my little notes that I took here. We talked about the Katie injury a little bit. Dylan Cardwell. So this was a night where, yes, it was Katie Johnson's show for the lot of night, I think, but you had guys going on really good hot streaks. You had like Janai doing that at the start of the game, and then at the end of the game, you had Dylan towards the kind of 3/4 portion of the game going on a hot streak with block shots and then dunks, and just Dylan Cardwell, being the hype man that he is, did a great job tonight. And I mentioned Janai Broom. Janai Broom had 2 steals, I believe, from out close to the 3-point arc when they were playing defense, stole it, went essentially coast to coast for a dunk. The guy is not just a down low presence. He's a very versatile big man that presents things that, to be frank, Walker Kessler tended to not show. Walker was your traditional big man. Janai's got a little bit less height to him, a little bit less build to him. I think it presents him opportunities to be dangerous in some other areas. I think both do their own set of skills really great, but it's kind of refreshing to see a different take of the big man play. And Janai's doing that very well tonight. And this is not an important note, but I always like to note little funny things. Gooey fries for all the fans at the arena tonight because they missed 2 free throws in a row. Dang it, I wish I was there. I think that's from Baumhauer's or Victory Grill. Yeah, Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Eason Westry is back is smart. His improvement come season end, I'm hoping, will be impressive. Trey Orr as well. So I think if you haven't watched the press conference, we put the pregame press conference out, or preview from yesterday with Bruce Pearl, and talked a lot about how, and I think he was speaking about Trey Orr, Donaldson, Westry. Time is now for those guys to not be freshmen anymore and step up. And that's not from me saying that. That's from their coach saying that. I think that shows what they've shown they're capable of, and it hasn't come out yet. And maybe that's what's happening with us seeing less time for Trey. Frankly, let me look at their amount of time that each of them had. So Trey Orr had 18 minutes tonight. Oh, I just noticed that Jalen Harper, Jared Harper's brother, got to play. That's awesome. And Westry also got 18 points tonight. So what I hear when I say that, if you want more playing time, show me at this point. It's kind of what it is. There are guys who are establishing their case for the most playing time. And they're at 18 minutes. That's, close to the top 5 in playing time minutes. They're not hurting for that. But if you want more, show me you're not a freshman, is what I heard. Again, not me speaking of that. Well played. That is well played for whoever did that there. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know who Julie is that asked the questions on Tiger Talk. All right. So here's what we'll do for the rest of the show. We'll take some of your comments and questions, but I do want to walk through the stat sheet a little bit tonight. Would anybody like to propose a player for the game? It'll become more apparent as we walk through that. So let's do that. Quick exercise all together right now. Post in the live chat or on the replay if you're watching there. Who is your player of the game? You've got several cases here. I think for a while there, Katie Johnson was the runaway with it, and he's probably going to be it. But you've got Wendell Green, Janai Broome, Alan Flanagan, who had great nights tonight. I think you've got a case with Janai Broome, to be honest with you, because you look. Let me just talk about his. He's 1 away from a double-double, 13 points, 9 rebounds. He had, let me pull it up here. How many steals did he have tonight? 4 steals. This is from a big man, mind you. 2 blocks, only 1 turnover tonight. Stayed reasonably out of foul trouble, 3 by the end of the game. Offensive rebounds 2, defensive rebounds 7. Now he didn't do well in his free throws, so that might knock him down a little bit for me. But I love the way he played tonight. He could have a case for that. 220, the 200s, the 300s seems to be our limit this year, Devin, and that's slightly disappointing for the memes. I love this only having 8 turnovers. That's a great thing to bring up. So let's talk about that. Look at the turnover margins tonight. 12 turnovers for Colgate, only 8 for Auburn, and it stayed as low as like 4 for the longest time, I think it was. And someone brought it up earlier in the live stream, how we got a little bit sloppy down the stretch, gave up a few more. So it could have been an even better turnover margin tonight. So what do we always talk about here, folks? You're going to hear me preach this on, get used to it on post-game reaction shows a lot, about 3 facets of the game that will be big determiners of who wins, if you can make a big difference for yourself in these margins. So free throws tonight. Abysmal free throw shooting by both teams. Abysmal. 42% for Colgate. I'm getting an eye twitch just thinking about that. Now, listen, Auburn's been disappointing me a lot with free throws lately for seasons. 56 per night for tonight. So Auburn wins, but that's not a margin that you want to win that way when you both are shooting that poorly. Now, this isn't one of those games where if Colgate makes more of their free throws, does it really make that big a difference? They had 8 of 19. But going back to one of those other areas tonight, 33 for Colgate, 39 for Auburn. That's the rebound margin. That's significant enough for me to show you there. And then we talked about the turnover margin, us winning that by 4. And there are other facets, but those are the 3 things that I usually look at about big determiners. Who is going to win this game? Auburn wins all of those, albeit sometimes being not the way that you want to win them. Leighton, I'm looking for your comments. Yeah, we talked about that already a little bit, Leighton. Well, I guess we didn't talk about. Yeah, they showed the halftime activities. That was really kind of cool. I don't think you're going to see that a whole lot, but we were talking about that a little bit earlier before you got here. You'd say Broom for the player of the game. Anybody else want to make a case? KD, Allen, Wendell, anybody else? Wendell had some really good shots. Well, you act like they're good shots, but that's just Wendell being Wendell, making those really good shots from way, 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 way out back. Speaking of Wendell, 13 points tonight, 22 minutes of time. Pretty good stat line. Chris Moore, 8 points tonight, 3 rebounds. Pretty solid. That's kind of the numbers I'd like to see Chris Moore, even as a starter, sitting at. Very much the case where Zepp sits, in the low numbers with 3, but he does so many things that don't show up on the stat sheet, especially defensively, that you have to continue to start him. Allen getting his, I think this is his first start this year, in the wake of Jalen Williams being out tonight. 12 points for himself, 7 rebounds, pretty close to a double-double too. 3 assists. Really good night for Allen Flanigan. Again, if you've been questioning it, Allen Flanigan is back officially. Talked about KD. We talked about Trey Chance a little bit. Trey Orr had some really good moments tonight. He had that good dish down low to Dylan Cardwell, kind of threw that bounce pass in traffic down to the really easy high percentage shot. Big moment. You saw them kind of congratulate each other together. That's a big team moment right there. Smart basketball play by the 2 of them. Really good connection that shows. And we talked about Dylan and Berman tonight. And it's always good when you see names like Sabera, Leopard, Jalen Harper has already brought up, Jared's brother, getting time tonight. So this is what you wanted. This is a complete game where one of the concerns that you have of your team, the shooting, shows up at home. You take care of business. You respond when they respond and try to get back into it, and just never really make it a thing that they're going to have a chance to win this, pushing it out to about a 30-point differential for points as the game went on. So I'm very pleased with that so far. KD player for the game, Broom for what you heard. Yeah, I think both of those guys have probably got the strongest case. 8 turnovers is hard to accomplish. Free throws is a big sort of in my side. So that sounds painful. When we can't make them, that goes back to high school. You always practice those the most. Don't get me. I've been nice tonight. Don't get me started on that. KD for being valiant through his injury and coming back and bringing the energy. Yeah, I didn't expect anything less though. More playing time for Chris Moore is going to benefit the team. We need him big time to keep the heat on Flanny to play his best. Well, I agree with that, but I also agree that I would also say that Chris Moore is more valuable even outside of pushing Flanigan or anything else. What happens when you've got Auburn has the opportunity, and we talked about this a lot like in preseason, to have this platoon system where when you switch guys out, maybe it's a different way of playing the game. Maybe if you have a bigger lineup, you're better at rebounding, those type of things. Your skill set's different, but there's not really a drop off. So when you bring Chris Moore out, put Allen in, there's not a drop off. When you switch them back, there's not a drop off. I want them both competing against each other, yes, for that playing time, but I want them both to not have a drop off when it comes to, and you can make that case for Dylan and Janai. You can make that case for Wendell, Chance Westry, and Trey when he starts getting some time again, I hope. So that's what you really hope for, and you're seeing out of this team so far. A true platoon system that is very deadly because you switch one guy in, one guy out. Makes it very tough for your team for your opponent to be successful. All right, we've talked about individual stats. Let's really quickly look through some of the team stats. We've already touched on a few of those. 55% from the field tonight for Auburn. Really good number. 37 of 67 in their shots. Colgate pretty good as well, 44%. Just a good shooting night. Auburn was just a lot better. We've talked about 3-pointers. I've talked about the free throws, turnovers, and the rebound margins as well. We won both categories there. Impressive. Second chance points. I don't think I brought that up. That was one of my notes that I had earlier. And let's make sure I didn't have anything. I saw a lot of teammates tonight I saw a lot of players tonight for Auburn following their own shots. So what do I mean by that? For those of you maybe that don't speak basketball a lot, you take the shot, you're supposed to, they teach you to act like it's on a string, follow your shot to some degree. You don't want to rush in there and get sucked all the way in if it bounces back out, but be ready, positioning yourself to get that rebound. Saw guys following their shots, which resulted in them being able to put a missed shot back, but also following each other's shots up and being ready to receive that offensive rebound. So that goes back to that second chance points. It was 24 for Auburn, 17 for them. And then can we just talk about this for a second? Bench points, 44 to 9. Auburn 44 points from their bench, 9 from Colgate. I don't know what you need to say other than that. I always like to find the one stat that was the big difference. There you go, right there. Bench points. Points in the paint was a good one too. Fast break points, and then defensively, 8 blocks for us, 10 steals, and we shared the ball pretty decently tonight. 14 points, and only one time where we tied tonight with only one lead change. So that is all of the stats. That is all of individuals, team stuff, things that I took note of in the game that I wanted to talk about. What else have we missed tonight that you guys would like to discuss? Bring those in right now. We're moving towards the end of our show. We're not quite done yet, but let me remind you of a few things as you bring those to the table to talk about, or things that you want to reiterate. I don't have a cue card ready for you. That's my fault tonight, but I always like to remind you of when our next scheduled thing is. The next thing we have on the schedule would be Sunday night. Had a great crowd at it. 9 Eastern time, a live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 15, I think. Or is it 14 now? 15, is it one of those? And we will be discussing a lot about Hugh Freeze. We'll probably finally start getting into some more topics other than just Auburn football and sports, unsports related stuff, because it's all about the Auburn Experience. Don't miss that, because you get to listen to the live recording and you get to interact with us. It's almost like a mini Wednesday night show before and after it. We hang out a little bit before, but especially after. And then always check out links in the description. If you're not subscribed, you need to be you need to be subscribed. I cannot talk tonight. What is wrong with me? I think it's the new lighting. So you can win this subscriber giveaway that we have right now. So subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. Live chats do not count, and that will be an entry into the giveaway for you on our journey to 5,000 subscribers. By the way, folks, we crossed 3,000 subscribers thanks to all of you. 3,000 subscribers. We could not do it without you. Thank y'all so much for helping us get there. Big, just a couple of days for us. Y'all are absolutely incredible. And I mean that for people on Facebook. I mean that Twitter, but especially you guys on YouTube for helping us reach that milestone. Now WT, I did ask for updates about volleyball so that they get a free pass on all that kind of stuff, because I asked for it. And they can talk about it in the chat all they want. We just probably won't address it as much now that we got the final score from it. What else have y'all brought up that we need to discuss right now? What else? Did we miss anything? I don't think you guys, the everything school. Yes, we definitely are an everything school. All right. Well, the main thing that I'll bring up as we start winding our show down tonight is just kind of sit tight. We're about to move into finals week, I think, or the prep for finals week. which means there's always this weird period at the beginning to the middle of December where it seems like basketball goes away for a while, for a full week. But get ready. This Memphis game that we have coming up is huge. That travel schedule that we have coming up is huge. USC, Washington will be through the holidays. And then before you know it, folks, SEC schedule. It's awesome. Who is your defensive MVP for tonight, do you think? It's a good question. That is a really good question. I feel like Dylan Cardwell comes to mind first. And I remember Zepp being in on it, KD as well. I'm going to go with Dylan Cardwell. It's a good question. And I need to start paying attention to that more because that is a really good thing to start keeping in mind. We talk a lot about points and all that kind of stuff, but we'll try to keep that. Maybe if you'll remind us, WT. I give our regulars a lot tasks to do. Devin is in charge of keeping us up to date on the meme counts. And again, a little bit disappointing, but that can be yours. Remind us who is your defensive player in the game. That'll keep me sharp to know I've got somebody looking out for that type of stuff. Anything else? I think we've covered it all. Another great win for the Auburn Tigers, 93-66. Colgate gets walloped by the Tigers in the Nev, where you never win, at least for this season. Again, thank y'all so much. If y'all have feedback on the lighting, the different angles set up, anything like that, always let me know because I always want to make it more palatable for all of you guys. We appreciate your feedback on that type of stuff. Thank y'all so much for being here, hanging out with me. Smash that like button on the way out. Drop a comment as soon as this live stream's over so you can have an entry into our subscriber giveaway. And we always appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.